Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Northern Kentucky Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Brookbank. Today, we are joined by Kevin Johnson, the Cincinnati Market Vice President of APG Office Furnishings. He talks with us about what to think about if you're considering renovating your office for the new hybrid workplace. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, CVG, our title sponsor, C-Crew Consulting, our digital sponsor, and our episode sponsors, Horan and Heartland Bank. You may have heard the news that Blank, the nation's largest light art and projection experience, is returning to the region this fall. You can get a preview of this year's festivities on August 16th at Eggs and Issues Blank Cincinnati, where we will be joined by Justin Brookhart, the Executive Director of Blank. You can learn the impact that Blink is expected to have on the Northern Kentucky metro region and how residents can fully engage and enjoy the attractions. You can register for that event at nkychamber.com/eggs or nkychamber.com/events. Now, let's go hear from our sponsors, meet our members of the week, and I'll meet you guys back here with Kevin.
CVG Airport is the lowest fare airport in the tri-state region with 54 nonstop flights and direct international service to 7 destinations, including Paris, France, and now home to both DHL's and Amazon's global cargo hubs. The airport is furthering its position as leader in aviation and is deeply committed to being an economic driver for the community. You can learn more and start your next adventure at cvgairport.com.
Ranking on Google Search and Maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. C-Crew gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, C-Crew generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can C-Crew do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we will highlight one of these businesses each day. Now, let's meet our members of the week. Gateway Community and Technical College engages, connects, and inspires students through education to successfully champion our region's competitive workforce and improve their quality of life. Schwann's company has accumulated decades of experience making and transporting foods in a broad range of categories. The Thomas J. Dyer Company is a full-service mechanical and plumbing company that has performed high-quality fabrication, installation, and service on numerous products. Excelicom is the only statewide fiber optic network connecting all 120 counties in the Commonwealth. NKU Athletics services over 240 North student athletes and 17 NCAA Division I athletic programs as members of the Horizon League. Hi, everyone. I am joined by Kevin Johnson. He is the Cincinnati Market Vice President for APG Office Furnishings. Kevin, thank you for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So let's get started. Tell me about APG.
Yeah, so APG started as a company in 1969. So we just celebrated our 50th anniversary a couple years ago. It was started by two guys named Chuck Patterson and Tom Alexander, which is the A and the P in APG, Alexander Patterson Group. And it started really in their, any normal entrepreneurial story in their garage. They used doors for their desks and sawhorses. But they really had a kind of a vision for what an office space should look like, a vision for the future, if you will. They really fell in love with a company called Herman Miller, who's our partner today. When Herman Miller just first introduced the cubicle system, which is obviously revolutionary back in 1969. So that's kind of where they got their start. They had a great vision for what the office could look like. And so starting from a garage, and now here we are today, 50 plus years later, we have 5 sales locations across Ohio and in Memphis. And so right now we are a commercial furniture dealer, and we sell Herman Miller and a few other lines. And we really focus on the office space, corporate and healthcare areas. It's just a lot of different solutions, higher ed, really any place that needs high quality, nice designed furniture. We serve, as well as some architectural products too. We're a women-owned business now. We're on to our second generation of owners, so yeah, we've been in the Cincinnati. We got started in Cincinnati and the Cincinnati area for a few years now.
Yeah, you said you guys have been around for a while. One of the things I thought was really interesting that you had mentioned when we had talked initially was there's this idea the workplace is kind of changing. So what does the future of the workplace look like for you guys, especially when you're talking with clients and they're seeing this hybrid workforce now?
Sure. So, as you can imagine, 2 years ago when no one was in the office, it was kind of just an interesting time. What's going to happen to the office, right? Some people were thinking, oh, no one's ever going to go back. And some people were like, no, we're coming back as soon as possible. So kind of those two main extremes. But really, we're seeing a lot of like collaboration and just areas that make the office feel similar to home. Because right now, a lot of employers are dealing with employees who just they're used to working at home, and where in the past people were really just they kind of took for granted the office and said, "Hey, I have to work, so I'm going to the office." Now that's not necessarily the case. People have proven that they can work from home somewhat effectively over the last couple of years. So you really people have to really figure out what that means for them from an office culture standpoint, and figure out, okay, how do I offer value in the office for people to want to come back? And so we have a lot of conversations with folks around what do you want your office to look like? More specifically, what do you want your office to function as? So we want to make it a place that people feel invited to come in, that people feel valued and valuable to be there, whether that be for meetings or collaboration or sharing ideas, brainstorming, meetings, etc. But we're finding a lot of people taking less time looking at individual workstations and more time dreaming up ways that they can develop spaces for collaboration and for just make it feel like home. People are used to working from their couches or from their dining room table or whatever. So bringing some of those elements into the office is kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah, a lot more couches, I imagine, than you guys were probably selling back in like 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that you guys have also done, Herman Miller, like you said, is a partner of yours. They have also recently purchased another company that's helped you expand your product line. Can you touch on that a bit?
Yeah, sure. So in the summer of 2021, Herman Miller bought Knoll. So in the furniture world, there's several main manufacturers that kind of run the thing, and then there's also a lot of smaller manufacturers. But if you think to put it in terms of people that like for normal people terms that don't work in furniture, it's kind of like similar to like a Ford buying a Chrysler. So two major players in the furniture world. So Herman Miller bought Knoll, so we're now Miller Knoll officially. So we were one of the first Miller Knoll dealers in the country, actually. So that's kind of been fun. But yeah, that's just really expanded our repertoire, if you will, of what we can provide for folks. So there's really nothing from a furniture perspective, from a space perspective, from a design perspective that we can't offer our customers. From all the different lines within the Herman Miller and the Knoll family, I think there's something like 21 different lines within those two brands. So we're super excited. We've jumped in feet first with Knoll, and we're just excited to see what that partnership continues to bring for our customers and for making offices and collaboration areas more fun and more attractive and more functional too. Because obviously you can put in a bunch of fun stuff, but no one uses it because it doesn't matter, right? So just really excited about being a Miller Knoll dealer and what that offers to us and our customers.
Yeah. And I think that's really interesting. Not only do you work with Miller Knoll, you also work with a ton of other manufacturers. What does that mean for you all? And what does that mean for like the clients that you worked with? So people that are going to come to you to work with you to help with their spaces.
Yeah, so it just makes the resources that we have at our disposal endless. We're a small company in the sense that in our sales location is in downtown Cincinnati, just across the river. I can see the Purple People Bridge right out my window. So just across the river from Northern Kentucky. So we're a small-ish office, but we have the resources of a large, multi-billion-dollar company and industry at our disposal. So that allows us to hit any sort of design aesthetic that a customer is looking for, to help meet their goals as a company. So if you think of what value furniture brings to a space, it's making the space look nice and feel nice for the employees. It helps with attraction and retention. So being able to hit all those different kind of goals that a company might have, but also to hit any price point that needs customers have. So that allows us to work with the big multi-million-dollar companies and also the onesie, twosie, mom and pop type customers. We serve, and we like to serve all the whole range of customers. So I think it gives us a lot of resources. It gives us a lot of different price points and aesthetics and design capabilities.
Yeah, that is awesome. I kind of want to pivot back to that idea of the future of the workplace, and something that you just said was that, yeah, it's really easy for employers to want to add all of these fun things, but if nobody uses them, it doesn't actually add value. When you're working with people to design these spaces, what are things, if you had like top 3 recommendations for employers to think about before they're redesigning spaces, what would those things be?
Yeah, I mean, first, what do you want your office to look like in the future? Some people are still kind of figuring that out, and we have a lot of great resources to help people. So a lot of the things that we're doing with folks isn't even talking about furniture. It's just talking about strategy to return to the workplace, or strategy for updating what you want your culture to be like in the office. And so yeah, just a lot of different things to consider. So yeah, what do you want your workplace culture to be like? How big of a deal is attraction and retention right now? I mean, it's huge, right? So everyone's looking for help. Everyone's looking to add people to their team. And so I think your workplace aids to that. It adds to the attraction of new talent and retention of who you have, because you have to. And so that, the culture and the actual physical space really lend a lot to retention, right? Because if they don't have what they want or need at your office, they can get another job somewhere else, right? So it's never been more important than now. And then also just keep in mind, like for future, like what's your growth plan? A lot of the items that we have they're very flexible and able to. So like if today you need work points for 10 people, but hopefully in a couple of years you can grow or double or triple the size, our items can be used and we can add to that original item or items to really grow and expand what you have.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I know that it's really interesting. So I work down in Covington, and walking through Covington and being able to peek inside some of these businesses that are remodeling or doing cool and different things. I know way back when you would walk into like a startup company and you would see these co-working spaces that were like mind blowing at the time. And now it seems a lot of companies are doing things like that, adding collaborative spaces like you mentioned. Are there any other trends that you have been seeing as this workforce has really changed?
Yeah, obviously with people going home, the virtual component of the office doesn't seem to ever be going away, right? So, some offices were set up to handle that before COVID, but really not a lot, right? So, I'm seeing a lot of like smaller spaces, like a huddle space, or we have a lot of different manufacturers that we work with. Framery being one that if you can picture like a phone booth, it's kind of something like that, to where like the office is open, but hey, I need to run and take a call real quick. They can run to this Framery unit and not have to build out a whole room for this virtual training. You can just put a pod in your space and not have to worry about construction. Prefabricated walls is another thing that we're seeing a lot of. We work with a company called Dirt that does, you can, again, if you don't want to have a pod, but you don't want to have full out construction, we have like stick built prefabricated walls that you can use to frame out an office or a huddle space as well. So just being able to create those spaces where people can feel like they can take a call or a virtual meeting and not feel like they're disturbing the whole office because they're talking or whatever. That's a big thing, just being able to prepare or make your office more virtual friendly. Because, before all this, I felt like anytime I was on a conference call or a virtual call, if anyone was not in the room, they were kind of an afterthought. But really, now there's almost always going to be a virtual component to a call. So you have to really make sure that those people that are virtual feel like they're part of the team, because it's really easy to forget them. So just those are kind of considerations that I'm seeing for sure.
Yeah. And if there are people who want to get in contact with you or with APG in general, how can people go about doing that?
Yeah, sure. You can contact me directly, either by email or by phone number. My email is just my first initial K, then my last name, Johnson, at apgof.com, or by phone 513-621-9111.
Right, thanks. And then before I let you go, is there anything else about your company, about the workforce, the way things are changing or trending that we didn't get to talk about that you want to touch on?
No, I think you did a great job asking questions, Sarah. So thank you for that. But I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but we're a certified women-owned business, which is important with the diversity stuff happening right now. But yeah, I think that's it. We're like I said, we're originally started in Cincinnati. The Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area is a really important area to us. We love, especially working with folks in Northern Kentucky. We've been part of the Northern Kentucky Chamber for years, and I'm just really thankful for you all, and excited to see you all soon.
Yes, I think I have you guys to thank for the very comfortable office chairs in the podcasting studio. So if that is your doing, thank you very much. But Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time.
Sure, thank you.
Hi, I'm Shannon Schumacher, Account Executive, Kentucky Market Leader. At Haran, we champion bold innovation to help employers and individuals thrive. As an industry thought leader, we explore new horizons in healthcare, benefits, employee engagement, and wellness. We work harder to deliver all the strategic benefits, planning, and execution you expect from a true partner. And we do it with laser focus on your short and long-term outcomes to help manage your benefits while improving your employee experience.
So Heartland is celebrating its 110th anniversary this year. Recently, we partnered with the Kinkle family and the Fisher family in Northern Kentucky, Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties. And we have 3 offices there to serve the Northern Kentucky region. Just remember, when the economy heats up, come see us at Heartland Bank, where banking really feels good.
Come on over to Heartland, where banking feels good.
Thank you guys so much for joining the podcast today. I hope that Kevin with APG Office Furnishings gave you guys some helpful tips when it comes to rearranging your office space and making it a little bit more friendly for your hybrid workers. Thank you again to our sponsors, CVG, Sea-Crew Consulting, Haran, and Heartland Bank. Please remember to register for Eggs and Issues, Blink Cincinnati, on August 16th. You can register for that today at nkychamber.com/eggs or nkychamber.com/events. I'm sure that is going to be a packed house. Finally, if you are a member who would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you're interested in becoming a member of the Chamber of Commerce, please reach out to Lynn Aplin. You can find her contact information on our website and our staff directory at nkychamber.com. Thanks again for joining us. I'll talk to you guys next week.